Thank you for having me, Melissa. I'm excited for our conversation. Yeah, I think something to walk away from, or I guess for women to kind of think about for me would be um, just to kind of pay more attention to your body and like what your body is telling you, to kind of just get a little bit more in sync with it and in tune. And if you notice, just little adjustments that you can make in either your diet or exercise that'll kind of balance a better overall well-being. That's just something I would suggest maybe people think about a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And when you talk through that, to me, it's being in tune. It sounds like that's what you're learning about yourself, and we're going to learn more here in just a moment. But I love that because that's something that I'm personally trying to do as well. Is just paying attention, right?
Yes,
Paying attention in a
absolutely.
very gentle way, but yeah, yes. And so let's start with your diagnosis story, which is, and you have been living, and I say only because 9 years is 9 years,
hmm
but this is a recent diagnosis for you. So if you can kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, definitely. So I was diagnosed at 26 years old, actually. It was, as an adult, and it was um, a little bit of a crazy situation because I didn't know the signs of type 1 diabetes, and neither did my family.
Hmm.
So, I had been walking around like suffering through symptoms that I didn't realize were signs. So I had like, the frequent urination, constant thirst. I started losing weight rapidly right before my diagnosis. But in the beginning, I just kind of played all of that into like my active lifestyle and, kind of had a reasoning for them. But when I say crazy was my actual diagnosis, my dermatologist was the one that found out I had type 1
Mm.
diabetes because I went to see her because I had these weird like breakouts happening along my jawline. And she said it was like a hormonal acne. And I just, I fell off. So she was going to run some blood work. And when it came back, my blood glucose, I believe, was 569 and my
Mm.
A1C was 15.3. So they said, you
Mm.
need to go to your doctor immediately, which again, reflecting back to is also just the way things were kind of handled. Like I probably should have gone straight to an ER, but again, no one really knew. And so I went to my primary care who officially diagnosed me and sent me home with long acting. I think it was Lantus she gave me just for like the
Okay.
overnight. And then the next day I met with an endocrinologist and, started my whole T1D journey.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're mid-20s, and I know you're married with a family now. Were you married at the time, if you don't mind me asking?
No, yeah, no, of course I don't mind you asking. No, I was
Yeah.
not. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
was all just something very, very new
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
to manage on my own.
Something that I've been living with this. I really, it seems like my whole life because since I was a teenager. But adulthood, being diagnosed, it fascinates me. And unfortunately, I'm meeting so many of you and so many women. It's it blows my mind how many newly diagnosed I'm meeting that are coming across my feed or messaging me, emailing me. It's unbelievable, and that's something that I know autoimmune related, and you're going to share a little bit more about autoimmune related diagnosis that, it just makes you say, "What is going on? What's the difference?" And I don't know if we'll ever know. There's a lot of theories, there's a lot of ideas about, what's happening environmentally, societal. We don't know, stress related, I don't know. But if you don't mind, we'll just kind of jump into the other diagnosis that happened around the same time, which had to do with your thyroid. And yeah, so I'll just go ahead and let you
Yeah.
explain that, and then we can just kind of look at the tie-in with all of this.
Yeah, definitely. So, in 2022, I had a total thyroidectomy for thyroid
Mm,
cancer. But leading up to that diagnosis and surgery, again, it was kind of another like crazy, unique situations. When I first found the lump in my throat, and my endo had noticed it as well. It was at a routine visit with her, but I was weaning breastfeeding my daughter. So
mm,
I started to notice my body just felt kind of out of whack. And something I do have to say I'm grateful for that T1D has taught me is to be more in tune with my body and
mhm.
more awareness. And so when I have, my body giving me signs now, I'm not ignoring them, right? Like, especially like the T1D diagnosis, I'm going to take it seriously. So I was kind of flexing between like hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism symptoms. So like my body temperature was really off. My weight started fluctuating at that time. Again, like things with my skin I noticed, and just feeling tired, like just more than usual. And so I had brought all of that up as a concern. And because at the time they said it was a nodule, it was fairly large. So we did a biopsy, but the biopsy came back negative. So because of that, I was being told that for me to have the surgery, to have it removed, even though it was causing discomfort and a lot of issues, it was considered elective. Like it was only going to be pushed like sooner if it was actually cancer. Well, my blood work was coming back where they didn't really seem to notice anything too abnormal either. So again, I just kind of kept thinking, well, something isn't right. And so I ended up having to wait until the fall. So at that point, my daughter was 13 months old and they did the surgery. And during the surgery, they said, you know what? She was right. It's cancer. Like, then they took my whole thyroid. And so that was just like really shocking to wake up to that. But it was also, I had this huge sense of relief because I could finally start my healing process.
Yeah.
Because I had been feeling miserable for so long. And that was something that my endo and I had talked about too, with like having T1D and how it's more common to get other autoimmune issues and especially things with your thyroid.
Yeah. 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 So you're seeing the same practitioner for both the healing process of your thyroid and your diabetes, it sounds like.
It's actually different ones. So at the
Okay.
time my endo,
Just
she's fabulous. I've been
just
with
based
her
on their
for
specialties.
like
Yeah.
6, 7 years now.
Mhm.
But I had to start seeing the thyroid doctor that did my surgery prior to that. So she kind of
Okay.
took over. And now I'm seeing at a different hospital, a different endo that does just thyroid, and she does my T1D. And they work
Okay.
together, which has been great.
Oh,
So
that's magical.
yes,
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 yes, yes. So, yeah, you definitely have 2 doctors that specialize in different areas, they're speaking to the same body, which is really,
yes,
really important, as you know as well.
yes.
Nice.
And you
So
can fight for that. I want people to know that. Like if you know the care, right? It's
yeah,
important. So
yeah, insist on it. Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes,
Even if it's uncomfortable. Yeah, those are
yes.
things that, and now do you have any other example? It sounds like you've had to go down roads, and I know that's something you want to share with us today, is how much you've learned and how much you continue to advocate and how strong it is. And I think this is really important. We're big about this on the show. As we're going through hormonal changes, it's real important to understand why and understanding how the body is changing. But we're not always going to get what we need per knowing what we learned. So we really have to push and
Yeah.
insist and spend a little bit more time, maybe just kind of researching and figuring it out. You found out along.
So for me, it was just being like an active patient in my care is so important, for me to make my decisions and to also just feel like validated and heard. I think that that's huge for a lot of people. And I think going with that, it's important to know that, we're not always going to like sync up with the doctor that we're seeing, right? And
Yeah.
and that's okay. I just think that it's really important to do your own research as well based on like how you feel, your symptoms, but also, other doctors in your area and even reaching out to even our own community. If follow someone on social media that can maybe help you point you in the right direction because, we only have one body, one life, and it's so important to honor that and take care of ourselves to our best ability. And if you don't feel seen or heard in your current like doctor's office, then, there are outlets and ways to find the right people that will help support you and take care of you.
Yeah, that's really good. So where are you at right now with your health? If we fast forward a couple years, basically having your thyroid removed, and how has that, and we could probably spend a whole episode just talking about how that correlates to your management of blood sugar. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, well, I want to say in 2024, I finally started feeling better and like myself. So I finally feel at a point where I do feel like my blood sugars have, been more in a stable range and normalized out for me. Like I feel like I have better control again where I can kind of predict or, manage them a little bit better because there was that period too, the thyroid is so underestimated.
Mm,
It's such a small organ, but it's so powerful and it does so much. And I mean,
mhm.
it affects everything with our, mood, weight, metabolism, just
Yeah,
so many things, our body temperature, our heart rate, energy. So to finally, start taking like levothyroxine and balancing out with that, finding the right dosage, kind of like we find our right sweet spot with insulin, but
yeah.
that can also change. So I feel like I finally am in a place where I just feel like I'm in a good rhythm with my body. So
Really good, really
yes,
good. Yeah. So resilience, right? So this
yes.
is a good example of some things that have been kind of put in front of you to have to fight through and to heal from. So that's really amazing. Yeah. So how have you stayed grounded through these challenges? I mean, do you have any tips for those of us that may
Um,
be dealing with some other outside, whether it's health diagnosis or, some other health goals that they're working hard to try to reach?
yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, my faith has helped me to stay grounded, being able to pray and just, ask for guidance. And through that, too, having the right support from loved ones. So, my family, my friends, and also just our community, too, I think is really important. I know it's kind of hard to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, but when you do, you really start to open doors that allow you to meet the right people. I've now met a lot of women that have gone through similar things with thyroid cancer as I have, and even women with T1D. And we have a lot of similar stories and things in common. And being able to lean on those people, through the hard times, or even if you have questions
Yeah.
going to like upcoming appointments, I think it's so important to be able to not feel alone and feel like you can reach out to them.